October 17th, 2023. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm Deputy Mayor Emily Lutz, and we're going to begin. We're going to kick things off here this morning. Bit of a smaller council table in front of us, although we do have Councillor Harding coming from the rafters. Hopefully we can sort through some of the technical anomalies that happen when we have a councillor participating online, but we're happy you can join us from the ceiling, Councillor Harding. We do not have Mayor Matart with us this morning due to medical reasons, and haven't heard from Councillor Allen, so we'll get to that momentarily. All right, at this point we'll take roll call and see where things land. I'll also note that there will be a special council following this meeting of Committee of the Whole. So stick around. And Councillor Harding, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, wonderful. At this point, I'd look for a motion to excuse Mayor Matart due to medical reasons. Councillor Armstrong is also away and gave regrets, so we'll include Councillor Armstrong in that. But we have not heard from Councillor Allen. Okay. So we'll just leave that one. So motion to excuse Mayor Matart and Councillor Armstrong, moved by Councillor Granger, seconded by Councillor Killam. Discussion on the motion to excuse. Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Killam, did you intend to vote in favor of the motion? That's okay. The motion carries unanimously with 7 in favor. Did I not vote? Okay. 6 in favor. Yeah, okay. 5? Who are we missing on the screen here? Councillor Killam? No, you're okay. I'm just making sure. And okay. There we go. Just telling these all in my head. It shouldn't be this difficult. Okay. We're here. Motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Councillor Davison. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Meisner. Any discussion on the agenda this morning? Additions, deletions? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor. The motion carries unanimously with 6 in favor. At this point in time, I'd ask if any councillor has any items of conflict of interest to disclose. Okay, I see no lights. Moving to item 4, approval of the minutes. I'd look for a motion to approve the minutes of September 19th, 2023, moved by Councillor Meisner, seconded by Councillor Davison. Discussion, errors, or omissions resulting from those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify now.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor. For those listening online or who may be new to council chambers this morning, we have a 10-second delay from when the vote is called until our electronic votes show up on the screen in front of us. So if you're wondering why the pause is, that's why. The motion carries with 6 in favor. Councillor Harding voting yay online. Is there any business arising from the minutes of September 19th, 2023? I do have one, if council will permit. Curious about the presentation from the Blomidon Naturalist Society and if there's been any discussion at the staff level on that request. Mr. CAO, can I ask you that? There's too many moves. You're on.
Thank you, Chair. To the best of my knowledge, we still have that as an undertaking. We haven't looked at that as of yet. We will.
Thank you. Any further business arising from the minutes of September 19th? Councillor Granger?
Chair, as far as the Blomidon Naturalists, I'm going to be attending a couple of their meetings in the next little bit. They've been in touch with me, so I can give you some more info on that once I've met with them.
Great. Thank you for taking that on, Councillor.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing from you. Any further business arising from the minutes of September 19th, Committee of the Whole? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to item 6, presentation. I believe we have with us Sergeant Ed Nugent. Welcome to council. Come on up to the podium in front of us. Your microphone's on, and we're really happy to have you with us this morning. Welcome.
And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
And that does go up
Yes.
if it's a little there. Okay.
I was forewarned by Terry there that I could bring this up. There we go. I think that'll be about right. Okay. Well, thank you folks for having me. Thank you Deputy Mayor Lutz and Council for having me here today. The main reason I wanted to come by was just to introduce myself to everybody. I've met a couple of the councillors already through the Police Advisory Board meetings, but I wanted to come and just sort of make myself available, let everyone know that I'm always around for questions or concerns, or even just a coffee if somebody wants to stop by with something to talk about at the New Minas detachment. So just a little bit of a quick background on me. I am currently acting as the district commander for Kings District RCMP. So that's New Minas, Wolfville, and Kingston detachments. So our inspector is currently in the process of retiring, so I'll be acting in that job for the foreseeable future at least. We've got a little bit of a pool running in the office for when my replacement will be named, but the two of us are on June of this summer. That's our best guess, so it could be later, it could be earlier, but for the next few months at the very least, you'll have me in the commander's chair in Kings. So I transferred here at the very end of March of this year. I came from Richmond County most recently in Cape Breton. I was the detachment or district commander there for St. Peter's and Ayrshire and Chapel Island. I spent 2 years there. But prior to that, I did 4 years in Labrador, in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, of course. I did 2 fairly very isolated posts there, including Nain on the north coast. So I left there for Cape Breton, which seemed like, you know, St. Peter's felt like a vast metropolis compared to Nain, where we flew in and we were on snowmobiles all winter. They didn't plow the roads, so my daily driver was a Skidoo. So prior to that, I did 10 years in British Columbia. So I'm into my 17th year now in the RCMP, and just really happy to be here in Kings. It's beautiful, the valley, and everything's great. I will admit that we bought outside the county. we live, my wife and I, we don't have any kids. We got 2 dogs. We live in Falmouth. So I've got a fairly extensive background in isolated northern policing. This is my first non-limited duration post. The limited durations are the harder to staff places where they give you a time frame when you'll leave when you go there. And so this is the first time that I've gone to a place that wasn't limited duration. This is my 6th posting. So it's nice to be, you know, central again. It's great, and I'm really, my wife and I are both really enjoying the area. It's great. So I just, like I said, just want to open myself up to questions, and I'm always around, and I'm sure my cell phone number has probably circulated to a few of you, and I can make sure everybody has it. We are undergoing some changes in the district. We're working to improve some fairly minor, in my view, internal issues that were here on my arrival, but things have been going very well at the Kings RCMP, I think. Safe to say, in the last few months. I've got some numbers here to share with you. I believe we have those to put up, but I'm not sure, but I can get those in a moment. Earlier this year, I was saying to the different governments and police advisory boards I've attended that we're in a fairly poor position for staffing at our district, but things actually have taken a very significant upturn for the better here recently. We have 7, I made a note here, we have 7 soft vacancies. That's what we call positions that have a police officer occupying them on paper, but that person is off duty or on administrative duties for various reasons, generally illness or maternity, paternity leave, those kind of things. So out of 62, I think 62 positions for Kings, we have 7 soft vacancies. And for the time being, we have 4 what we call hard vacancies, so positions with no person assigned to them yet. However, all 4 of those are now, they now have staffing actions against them. So within the next couple of months, 3 at the most, all those positions will be filled. And we had a bunch of folks transferring out that we initially were having some issue finding replacements for, but replacements have been named for all of those, and we're actually in a position now where we have people waiting in the wings for a spot in Kings. So that's, I never expected in April when I kind of got started that we'd be in this good a position so quickly after being in a significantly worse one staffing wise. So things are good. Kings are, it's another first for me. I'm in a place now that's desirable to staff. The joking term for limited duration posts early in my service was less desirable posts, and this is not one of them. It's great that there's a whole lot of folks very excited to get here, and so we've got people waiting for a chance to come. So that's a very big positive for me recently. Just to touch on stats, and then I'll just basically tell you what I've got here, and if anybody has any questions about them, I'm all ears. So I've the blue page that we've got there. Yeah, that's criminal stats for 1 full year, 12 months starting September of 2022, ending August of 2023. And that was just because when I asked one of our district assistants to pull the stats for me, it was just early into September. So that was the easiest way for her to get a year's worth of statistics. Obviously some concerning numbers there in several categories. The person's offenses, crimes against person, those are the ones that, generally, elicit the most, they involve the most police work, and obviously they're generally the most concerning to the public and to local government. Lots of assaults. Far too many sexual offenses, but that is not unique, unfortunately. That's an issue everywhere. Now, property crime has been a significant concern here in Kings in the last couple of years, is my understanding, and that's something that we're focusing on as well. We had quite a few theft and shoplifting charges or offenses, as you can see, and so we're also seeing a lot of rural theft, at least getting complaints and reports from communities. I've made myself available for a couple of community meetings already now, and I'm open to more if any of the communities wish to kind of speak to us directly. We've heard some sort of raised voices about a perceived uptick in kind of significant thefts from rural properties, ATVs, quads, snowblowers, things like that, chainsaws, and we've undertaken some strategies to deal with that. We've got a few on the go, including a crime prevention strategy of curfew checks. Anybody that's been arrested and released on court conditions that include a curfew, we have an active monitoring program for them. We conduct random checks and we document them. And as I've said to a few of the advisory boards, my take on that, the question always arises, what are the consequences? And while the criminal consequences are not always severe, I think that the value in those checks is that it keeps people on notice that we're watching. And the value of keeping somebody's head down, waiting for the police to show up at any minute at their house is, in my view, it's actually invaluable. It has a demonstrable, visible effect on recidivism. So that's something we're doing. We're also trying to increase some rural patrols, especially at night, and taking some steps to try to help educate folks on crime prevention. So that's all I'll say about that for now, unless anyone has questions. But I've also got, if we want to bring them up there, I'm not sure who's pressing the buttons.
Chloe, is there another
Yeah,
document?
that should be the ticketing. I don't know, maybe we
Ticketing?
didn't get those. Ticketing stats? Oh, maybe not. My apologies. I thought somebody had those. My bad. I've got some if anybody cares to know. I'll give you just the very basics. So I think that's that same time frame, yes. Beginning of September to the end of August. So 2022 to 2023, we had 1,406 traffic tickets issued, including just shy of 400 for speeding, right around 400 for speeding. That's the big ticket item, if you will, and 487 warnings. So obviously folks are they're leaning towards the ticket side, our members here, and that's generally the way it goes. That's a pretty normal balance, but pretty healthy traffic stats. There was a little bit of a dip these past few months, but we're working on improving that. So my apologies that we didn't get the numbers out to everybody. Or I didn't.
We've got them now. It's all good.
All right. Okay. So folks, that's it. I just kind of wanted to say hi, and if you got any questions about me or our district or any of these numbers or what we're doing,
I got a few
here.
lights on, so if you don't mind sticking around.
Sure.
We really appreciate you coming out. It's really nice to hear a little bit about you and, yeah, put a face to the name. Councillor Meisner, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor, to the presenter. I'm just wondering, you know, Kings is a region with a pretty rich history, very diverse history, and a little bit of a clouded history. So I'm just wondering, since you've been here, have you had the opportunity to familiarize yourself with some of our minority communities in this area? There's quite a historical impact of the environmental racism and the off-coming implicit biases in those regions. So I'm just wondering if you've been able to familiarize yourself with Gibson Woods and Pine Woods in those communities.
Yes, indeed. I can't say by any means that I'm as familiar as I want to be or that I will be. You know, that's going to be an ongoing thing for me. But Gibson Woods in particular, I attended with our commanding officer for B Division recently. He's conducting a series of meetings with Black Nova Scotian communities across the province in preparation for a planned apology for street checks, specifically in the Halifax area, but he wants to consult, that's our fairly recently appointed commanding officer, Dennis Daly for H Division, Nova Scotia RCMP. He wants to meet with all the, with as many at least of the Black Nova Scotian communities as he can to basically get their input on what they would like to see in an apology from the RCMP. And so Gibson Woods was his first stop on that tour, and I attended there with them, and there was I was blown away, honestly, by the depth or the range of opinions, and I can't say as I was shocked by the depth of feeling. I recognize that there's been a lot of historical injustices here, not to many minority communities, but it was eye-opening for sure. I've begun steps to make myself known in the Indigenous communities here. I've got a meeting scheduled to introduce myself similarly to this in Glooskap First Nation, and I'm going to make arrangements with Annapolis as well, as long as they're willing to set up a time to meet me, and I'm sure, I strongly suspect they'll be open to that. So that's another step I'm taking to familiarize myself, and other than that, I am just sort of trying to glean as much as I can from sort of local knowledge and from the other members that are here, and a lot of it is trying to find some time just to drive around and see all the communities. Even in 2 years in Richmond County, I was still finding little tiny villages or named communities on the back roads right before I left, and I suspect in Kings I could drive around for weeks and weeks and find more little communities, far more than I did in Richmond County. So that's just trying to sort of get a background.
Thank you. Yes, and Kings definitely street checks, maybe not necessarily a thing, but license checks and being followed are a high priority for our residents here. We do have a standing committee here at Kings County. It's our Diversity Kings County committee. We meet monthly, usually the first Monday of the month. However, that is a bit different this coming. So I do invite you to check in with our staff and pop into one of those meetings. We'd love to have you.
Okay, all right. I'd like to do that. I'd like to
Thank you.
stop in and introduce myself, and I will make sure to make contact about that. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Granger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to welcome you again. We met at the Police Services Advisory Committee, so thank you for that. I wanted to kind of bring up traffic calming. I know traffic calming is more on the provincial side of things, but is it a tag team effort with you guys, or what's the best way to attack that?
Oh, that is a question that I don't know if I can answer without a little bit of research.
Okay,
There's
I'll hit you up
certainly
next
some
month.
police involvement, but generally the calming efforts are, yeah, like, I think you're correct in saying that it's largely provincially led. There's not maybe as much police involvement as there could be. That's something maybe that needs to be explored. I think that there's often at least some consultation in those matters, but I can't say as I have been involved in any processes since I just got here. I know that we've ourselves had some initiatives sort of thing, and we have a traffic unit, as I believe you're aware, it's for Southwest Nova District RCMP, but it's based out of our new INIS building here. There's a team there, and they're doing some initiatives now, not necessarily specifically to traffic calming, but they've got some plans afoot, if you will, for the fall and winter months. So no, I'm sorry, not really able to speak to that in an informed way, the traffic calming measures, but maybe we can discuss it directly
good.
afterward.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll see you at the police services,
Yes.
so I'll just keep hitting you up until
Okay.
I get the answer.
I'm going to make a note of that before I go to look into it.
Thank you, and
Okay.
welcome again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hurdle, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you. Good to see you this morning. I apologize for missing you the other day at the
No problem.
police services. My son, I had to take him to the hospital last minute with a bump on his head. A couple
We muddled
questions.
through, I think.
What?
I think we muddled through without you, but
Great, great.
I'm sorry about your son, though. That's too bad.
No, he's doing all right
Okay,
now.
yeah.
Just a large bump.
Yeah.
A couple questions, if I may.
Of course.
I noticed the speeding tickets, and I'm wondering how those may correlate to years past prior to your being here, if they've increased, decreased, or are relatively on the same track.
Gonna have to check on that one for you too.
Certainly.
Councillor Hurdle, I apologize, but my gut feeling is that they're similar. The last 3 or 4 months, so these would include tickets that are issued in our area by that traffic section, and they were redeployed briefly for the summer months there due to some staffing shortages nearby. So they're Southwest Nova resource, of course, rather than a King's one. So they were out of the area for a little bit doing some general duty work, most of them. So numbers would have suffered a little bit there, but they're back in place now and going full tilt. So I would imagine that these numbers are roughly similar. I haven't heard anything about increasing or decreasing trends in enforcement. I think that you'd be looking at fairly steady numbers there.
Great. Not that I want to see more speeding tickets, but oftentimes I see those correlating with reducing the speeding in certain areas where I hear a ton of complaints. Second question, with Wolfville changing from their provincial contract to a municipal contract, have you seen any operational challenges from your side of things?
Not operationally, no, not to date. We've had, at least from a personal perspective or an administration perspective, if you will, there's been a fair bit of groundwork done there, and I can't take a whole lot of credit for that. I've had a couple of my senior NCOs or acting operations NCOs do some really great work on improving relationships in Wolfville, working on some presentations and things like that. Like we recently assisted our planning section with presenting a GDPRM. I've had to memorize a few new acronyms in this job, but it's a police resource model for Wolfville, basically explaining, or I can't do it justice in my explanation, but the young fellow who did the model and the presentation, he explains it much better than I'll ever be able to. But basically, it's a data-based analysis of how many police officers are required in certain scenarios. Like once the data's in, you can kind of you can manipulate the data to show what it would look like with different approaches, either, you know, reducing coverage, reducing the members, increasing the number of members, changing to a standalone detachment, that sort of thing. And the very clear recommendation at the end of that presentation was to stay within the RCMP district model. So, you know, just because Wolfville has moved is changing to a new funding model doesn't mean necessarily that they have to go to a standalone policing detachment agreement, or they can stay within the district model. It's just the funding model would change essentially. It does come with some other changes. That's oversimplifying, but the point is they could stay within the district model, and that was the recommendation of the GDPRM. We gave a lengthy presentation to council about it recently in Wolfville, and I'm actually scheduled to meet with them very soon, later this month, I believe, and they're planning to put it to a vote whether or not to stay. So that would be my recommendation as well, or wish, that it seems to be working, the district model, and so we'll see how it goes. From an operations perspective, because nothing has taken effect yet directly, no, we haven't had any changes. We are looking at the possibility of a fairly minor supervisory change. Just basically shuffling two positions, one putting a corporal sitting in Wolfville, but it wouldn't be a big change from what we've got right now. Yeah, just so that's about it. But no, operationally, no big impact, or no impact at all yet.
Great, and I'd also like to thank you for showing up so much in the community. I've seen you just about everywhere, and
Thanks.
that.
Well, yeah, the point being there that you're at all those as well, and I suspect a whole bunch more. But I appreciate that. Thanks. I'm trying my best to be as available as I can. I think it's valuable to have a face for people to associate with. Me just sending a bunch of emails from my office is not really going to get the point across in most cases. But sorry if I interrupted. No. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I didn't turn you off, Councillor. Are you good? You're okay. Sorry. Yeah, are you finished, Councillor?
Oh, I'm good. Just thank you.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. Any further questions for the sergeant this morning? All right, you're off the hook. Thank you so much for being here, and we forgive you for living in Falmouth.
Well, that's very gracious of you. Thank you.
And we're certain we will see you around. So thank you so much for spending your morning with us.
All right, thank you. I don't think for what it's worth, I don't think the good folks of St. Peter's ever quite forgave me for Port Hawkesbury when I was there. So.
We do. It's okay.
I appreciate it.
We're more forgiving.
All right.
Okay, at this point, I'd look for a motion to receive the presentation this morning. Moved by Councillor Killam, seconded by Councillor Hurdle. Discussion on the motion to receive the presentation. Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor Harding. And apologies, Councillor, I did forget you were there, so I'll try and ask if you have questions. But if I fail to, please jump in.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, we have 7 in favor. The motion is carried. We're now moving to item 7 under administration. Our first item is the 2023 Volunteer Recognition Event and Awards, a much beloved event, I think, for council and the public alike. We're happy to welcome Ms. Amy Johnstone here today to talk to us about it. Which microphone do you prefer, Amy?
I'm not sure. Did you can put Councillor Harding? Yes. Where he needs to be? Okay. I'll go here.
And it is kind of far. It is, I don't know if you hear the same in the seats as up here, but it feels like that microphone's a bit far back. So if you can.
I'm loud.
Okay, good. It can be quiet is what I was trying to
This is
say.
my first time with this podium too, so it's
Yeah, I think
odd.
it's just
Yeah.
getting used to the new setup.
You can see my feet. I don't like it. Okay. All right. Well, good morning, Council. I'm here today to present to you the plan for the 2023 volunteer celebration. I'll try not to play with this the entire time. In March, the policy related to the celebration was amended, providing staff the flexibility to plan an impactful celebration that doesn't necessarily mirror the preceding year's sit-down banquet-style dinner. The amended policy continues to demonstrate the municipality's support of local volunteers who selflessly contribute time and resources to enriching and nurturing our communities. The commitment remains in place to hold a volunteer recognition event embodying the values set out by the municipality's strategic plan, during which awards will be presented to Volunteer of the Year, Youth Volunteer of the Year, and a Ted Meldrum Award recipient. In April, Council was surveyed in an effort to gain perspective about previous events and ideas for the future. The results of the survey noted a good overall rating of previous events, including the quality of advertising, the attendance, and the quality of the program. High importance was communicated to host this event in a welcoming space and to provide awards that show the true appreciation of the volunteers. It was also noted that more publicly and formally acknowledging all nominees should be something to work towards improving. Using the survey information, staff designed an event that allows the celebration of volunteer efforts throughout the municipality, not only on the day of the awards, but also by way of communication via the municipality's social media platforms. So this was done by celebrating all nominees this year in April on social media, and as well posting the selected award winners later this summer, early September. The location of the event was considered intensely by staff, with many options contemplated. The location of the event, criteria prioritized choosing a space not previously used for this specific event, and a space that could be designed to be a warm and welcoming community gathering space. The 2023 volunteer celebration will be an awards presentation followed by a dessert reception on the evening of November 2nd, and will be held here at the municipality's council chambers and lobby spaces. So invitations to this event will be delivered to each nominee plus a guest, each nominator or nominating organization, for up to 2 guests initially, as well as all members of council. So after the RSVP deadline, I don't know what happened to that TV. After the RSVP deadline, additional guests can be added to the event list to a maximum of 170 attendees. Now the space will technically allow for more attendees. However, staff want to ensure that the number of guests allows for the space to stay comfortable for conversation and mingling. So the event will begin with the doors opening at 6:30, where staff will greet all guests. And then the more formal event, the hosted award ceremony, will begin at 7 here in Chambers. And each nominee will be announced and presented certificates and gifts of appreciation. And then award recipients for the 3 main awards, the Ted Meldrum Award, Volunteer of the Year, and Youth Volunteer of the Year, will all be presented their awards along with thank you gifts. Dessert reception will immediately follow the awards ceremony in the lobby space. The doors will be open to Chambers, and we'll quickly turn over this space to allow for more gathering space. So catered local desserts will be available for everyone to enjoy while mingling to the background sounds of local musical performers. So the funds for this event were allocated in the 2023-24 budget, and they'll be utilized solely from that GL 012217-136. So with that, brings me to the recommendation, which I can read or I can take questions.
Let's look for questions. Anything? Oh, Councillor Allen, welcome to Chambers this morning. I didn't see you come in. I hope all is well this morning. Well, we're happy you're here. Okay. Any questions from council? I don't see any. The recommendation is on the screen that Committee of the Whole receive for information the briefing titled 2023 Volunteer Recognition Event and Awards dated October 17th, 2023. Do we have a mover of the motion? Moved by Councillor Granger, seconded by Councillor Killam. Discussion on the motion to receive. Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify now.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor Harding. And thank you, Amy. We look forward to this event. Look forward to seeing everyone come out. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Our second item under administration this morning is Recreation Services Review Update. We have Ms. Brittany Traynor here, Manager of Community Development, lifting the podium up this morning, here to give us an update. Welcome to Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. This is a little different.
Yeah, it is different. It's going to take some getting used to.
Well, is this okay though?
Yeah, I think, we might have to adjust in the future, but yeah,
Okay.
it's good for now.
Well, good morning. I'm here today to give an update to the planned review of recreation services set to take place this fiscal per the municipality's strategic plan. And the origin of this presentation is that in addition to the strategic plan, the intended work was financially resourced by council through the current operating budget. Following the commencement of the current fiscal year, a tender event was released seeking consultant services to lead a review process of the municipality's resourcing of recreation, including but not limited to internal investments in human resources and programming, fiscal commitments to external organizations and infrastructure, culturally appropriate and responsive offerings, and the creation of a possible funding option to offset the expense to individuals most in need of participating in municipal recreation. The budgetary allocation for this work was $50,000. A request for proposals was written and released. And unfortunately, the tender event yielded no proposals. Because of that, staff sought perspective from experienced consultants who had formerly worked in the field to discern the way forward and consider possible changes to the tender documents and ultimately the project itself. The consulted party indicated that while the RFP was well written and clear, the recreation consulting field has become increasingly smaller, especially in this region, with most firms located in Ontario and West. With that in mind, it's possible that alternative ways of advertising the RFP may have resulted in an improved response. One of the more significant impacts on the outcome of the request was the budget. The work outlined in the RFP was significant, and as recently as 10 years ago, similar work would have required a budget of $150,000 to $200,000. The work outlined in the RFP is as important as it has ever been. And in the coming months, staff will be reviewing possible next steps and ways forward with plans to return to council for direction in advance of the 24-25 budget process. Financial implications associated with changes to this work will come with recommendations when staff return to council for direction. And the recommendation is on the screen, so I can either take questions or read that.
Thank you, Brittany, for the update. As mentioned, no decisions today. They're just receiving an update, and some decisions may come down the road, but today just an update. Any questions? Councillor Harding, any questions?
No.
Okay, great. Seeing none, I'll look for a motion that Committee of the Whole receive for information the briefing titled Recreation Services Review Update dated October 17th, 2023, moved by Councillor Meisner, seconded by Councillor Davison. Any discussion on the motion to receive? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving to item C, 2024-25 J-Class Subdivision Road Construction Year Program Assessment List from the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works. We have Mr. Dan Hagan with us this morning. Welcome, Dan, to Committee of the Whole. Looking forward to hearing from you on some J-Class roads this morning. It's okay. And for those listening online, we're just getting some presentations up on the screen. Here we go.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of Council. Thank you for having me here today to present to you The results of staff's review of the 2024-2025 Provincial J-Class Road Program. Particularly, I would like to thank Paul Gray, our engineering technologist, for his assistance on this project. His knowledge, boots on the ground knowledge of our road system is kind of unmatched here, so I really thank him for getting me up to speed pretty quickly on this work. So at the end of this presentation, we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on this matter, particularly for Paul, who may be able to give you a better idea of some of the in the field type matters. Okay, this is not working. Tech help, folks. What's going on here?
You're just sharing the wrong monitor.
No.
Uh-huh.
Nothing. What's that?
I for one like the quiet.
Yeah.
So I live
really
a very
like
busy
standing.
life. I don't mind 10 to 20 seconds of silence. So it's all good up here.
My apologies for my inability to handle the tech today.
No
But I'll
apologies
go back
necessary.
to maybe back one slide or two. Thank you. Yeah, this slide here. So slide 2. Thank you for bearing with me. The intent of this presentation is to provide sufficient background information to Council regarding staff's assessment of our our J-class roads in order for Council to make an informed decision on our proposed list of 10 roads recommended to be paved as part of the program for fiscal 2024-2025. For background, each year the municipality submits a list of 10 roads to Nova Scotia Public Works that are recommended to be paved as part of the cost-sharing agreement 2023-014. With respect to eligibility, only J-class roads that were included on the original 1995 J-class master list are considered for paving by the province. And additionally, only roads that were identified in 1995 as having a surface type of gravel, chip seal, or sand seal are eligible for the program. Roads that were identified as paved in 1995 are ineligible for the program. And my final point on this one is that even though we submit a list of 10 roads to the province, we don't control which ones they end up ultimately picking from our list. Next slide, please. As part of staff's review of our J-class roads, we completed a detailed review of the original J-class master list and rebuilt a master spreadsheet for future use. The integration of engineering and public roads, recent road assessment data, including condition ratings, current road surface types, and financial, environmental, and social.
Oh. It's okay. One slight touch of my button turns off all the microphones.
Oh,
Apologies.
okay.
Brush of the hand.
And finally, a field assessment of any data gaps that we discovered in the review process. With respect to condition rating assessment, EPW uses a condition rating scale that includes 7 levels, including from worst to best, damaged, poor 3, poor 2, poor 1, fair, good, and very good. With the exception of the 4 roads that are being paved this year as part of the program, the municipality currently has 30 eligible J-class roads that have been assessed a current condition rating of poor 1 or worse. All remaining roads or eligible roads have an assessed condition rating of fair or better. Next slide. As noted above, in spring 2023, staff in EPW conducted field reviews of J-class roads and assigned updated condition ratings as part of their visual inspections of each road section. To the best of my knowledge, most of this was done in May 2023 generally, but it gets updated from time to time as well. As part of the staff's assessment, we considered the financial, environmental, and social cultural score as an effective level of service value for the roads. In a general sense, level of service can be defined as the level of service required for the asset to be maintained to meet the service requirements of a municipality and its ratepayers. In this particular case, the FESC score, which includes financial, environmental, and social cultural factors as part of each road section. These factors include information on the number of home-based businesses on a road section, its current condition rating, infrastructure planned for the road, traffic counts, amenities, and services, whether the road is on a school bus route or in a school zone, and the number of residential units using the road, to name some of them. This FESC score assessment assigns a score out of 150 possible points. So once all this work was completed, which took quite a bit of time, don't mind saying, then the data was then sorted by condition rating, and then followed that, it was sorted by the FESC score. So sorting in this manner prioritized roads with the poorest condition rating and the highest FESC score. So getting to the bones of the matter, the first 5 roads on our list are road sections associated with Old French Road, Carolina Avenue, Lincoln Court, Sandy Court, and Adringa Drive. As you'll note, each of these top 5 roads were originally chip seal and or sand seal in 1995, and all have been assessed a poor 3 condition rating. Old French Road and Carolina Avenue also were noted to have the highest FESC scores of the 10 roads on our list. Secondly, the bottom 5 roads we're recommending this year are road sections associated with North Park Street, Station Street, Elm Lane, Ronald Avenue, and Polaris Court. North Park Street, Station Street, and Elm Lane were noted to have been chip seal roads as of 1995 and currently have been assessed condition rating of poor 3, while Ronald Avenue and Polaris Court were gravel roads at the time of issuance of the 95 list and currently have been assessed a poor 2 rating. I do note one error that was pointed out to me this morning on here. Polaris Court is identified as having a current surface type of gravel. My understanding is actually chip seal, so my apologies for the typing error there. So the total, to summarize kind of those 2 lists I just showed you there, the total road length of all 10 roads proposed for our list in for 2024-2025 is 2.06 kilometers, with an average FESC score of 56 out of 150. 8 of the 10 road sections have a poor 3 condition rating, and ultimately all roads proposed as part of this list of 10 roads are located within the villages in our municipality, including the villages of Aylesford, Cornwallis Square, and Kingston. With respect to financial implications for our proposed 2024-2025 J-Class road list, the work would fall under the current cost-sharing agreement number 2023-014 with the province, and ultimately final say on which roads they end up getting paved will fall to them. Unfortunately, we don't get to dictate that. Based on a review of the key strategic priorities of the 2021 to 2024 strategic plan, staff believe the J-Class Road project touches on 3 of the 5 key strategic priorities, including strong communities, economic development, and financial stability. And with respect to implementation, assuming council approves the staff's proposed list today for the 2024-2025 program, the list is to be provided to Nova Scotia Public Works no later than October 31st, 2023. Due to time limitations, the 7 villages of the municipality of the County of Kings were provided with a draft version of the RFD on October 10th. Comments from the villages were requested by the end of day on October 12th. However, no comments from the villages were received by that date. I do note, though, that 1 set of comments was received following the requested date. And finally, and further to everything I've said today, the recommendation to Committee of the Whole is as follows. That Committee of the Whole recommend Municipal Council direct the Chief Administrative Officer to submit the list of recommended J-class roads for paving contained in the October 17th, 2023 request for decision to the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works under Cost Sharing Agreement number 2023-014 for fiscal 2024. My apologies for the wordiness of that, but I think it gets the point across as well. At this time, I would like to thank Madam Chair and members of Council for your time today, and I'd be happy to take any questions you may have. Specifically, if you have any questions about existing field conditions of any of these road sections, Mr. Paul is also in attendance here today, and hopefully he'll be able to help me out with those questions. So, fire away.
Thanks, Dan. Councillor Granger.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. Maybe this is more of a question for the CAO, but it's a little alarming that we're operating off of almost 30-year-old lists. 1995 is a long time ago. Cars have gotten bigger, heavier, there's increased traffic, so the roads really kind of aren't the same as when they were measured way back when. I'm wondering if Council can in any way direct, nudge, help the province understand that we're growing. 10 roads may not be enough for us to get done every year. And I know this is a 50-50 split, so it also depends on our budget. But I'm wondering if we have any recourse at all to be able to let the province know that this isn't really that acceptable.
Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Chair. I don't quite know where to start and stop on this one. I guess I will point out that the 1995 list is a direct correlation, indirect correlation to service exchange in 1995. So that is the list of roads that existed at that point in time. Any road that was constructed after 1995, that's a subdivision scale road, belongs to the municipality. It's owned by the municipality. So anything after that is ours. 1995 and before, I would hazard an educated guess that we've made somewhere between 20 and 30 presentations to the province of Nova Scotia in the last 6 years about other options to consider in the management of those roads. It's being, as I look towards you, I can see one of your colleagues who we talked about before the council meeting. The growing implication or growing aspect of this is drainage with climate change and how several of these roads, many of these roads are shedding water. So it is a concern. We had recommended a different financing model to the province. We were not able to get traction with Treasury Board. So if you would like, I can certainly send you a slide deck that outlines all of that. It's been a recent, very hot topic in municipal reform. There's, I think, letters in your package here today, a letter from the NSFM to the minister and a response from the minister. It appears that they're going to park the notion of transferring 1,200 kilometers to the municipality. So that was on the table up till about a week ago. So we're still dealing with 135 kilometers, roughly. We used to say 388, but Dan has done some work on that, 391 now. So we're still dealing with 390 some roads, 135.15 kilometers that it needs to be rethought. Couldn't agree with you more. I think we presented the plan. We haven't had success yet with that plan.
Thank you for that. I also understand that with our budgeting constraints, it makes it difficult as well for the 50-50 split. Is that correct or incorrect assumption?
I think it's much broader than that. For example, you're looking at a list and criteria that's published by the province saying they'll accept up to 10 roads a year. Some roads could be very short, some roads could be very long. And if we look at, and again, I'm just approximating here, we probably are somewhere in most years between 2.5 to 3 kilometers, no more. And we have 135 kilometers. So don't really need to be a math person to figure out that we're never going to catch up with useful life repairs to these roads, not only catching up with useful life, but to deal with the drainage problems that are more recent. So there needs to be a rethink of the whole program.
I get
These
it.
are
I understand.
provincially owned roads. So pre-95 are all provincially owned roads that we cost share. We provide about $900,000 a year in maintenance. So there's two parts to it, $900,000 a year in maintenance, and then we participate in a 50-50 capital. What Mr. Hagan is presenting this morning here is all capital related. Criteria, no more than 10 roads, and it has to be, let's say, a gravel to chip seal to pavement. You can't do pavement to pavement. So since 1995, a lot of these roads now look like the back of alligators. They were pavement, but we keep getting tossed when we put an asphalt road in because the program is gravel to pavement, not pavement to pavement. So the criteria don't make a lot of sense. It needs to be updated.
I get it. I'm also wondering too if the if I may, Madam Chair, the technology of long ago may not be something that we want to have a 50-50 split on. The technology in draining, the technology in actual road maintenance or making a new road, even if you're chip sealing it or whatever, however you're doing it, technology has changed. I'm wondering, because we pay 50% of it, do we have any say in how we would like to see the drainage, not just put in for today, we want to put in for 20 years from now, and that could, so that it can withstand all of the changes that are coming, especially in the climate.
All interesting points. Right now, I would characterize the program of more of a refurbishment program as opposed to a complete rebuild program.
Okay.
When the road does contain valve boxes and curb that belong to the municipality, those aren't 50-50. Those are borne 100% by us.
Okay.
So, for example, when in New Minas a few years ago, when there was a proliferation for 1 year of local roads, it wasn't, when you looked at the overall numbers, it was certainly more on us than 50%, because we paid to raise the manholes, we paid to deal with curb boxes, those types of things. Yeah,
Gotcha.
but basically it's going in and bringing them back up to useful life of what they once were. It's not a complete redesign of the road, but your point is very valid.
Great. Thank you.
That's good, good points, Councillor. And it strikes me that it might be useful for council to hear or get a reminder on how we assess the roads every so often. Like we do manage, and maybe Mr. Gray, maybe you want to come up and speak now about how we look at, we assess the condition of the roads on a pretty regular basis so that we are working on more current conditions, not from 1995, thankfully. Councillor Davison, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you, Mr. Hagan, I'm just curious. I understand there's probably a mathematical calculation on how to get these roads figured out of who's going to, or when, who's going to get paved and who's not. I'm curious to know, with the county being as big as it is, and this is just a question where I'm noticing that it's all in one area, just where we all have constituents that we want to make happy, and roads are obviously a very big deal when it comes to complaints to us. I'm curious to know why all of these roads are in the exact same area. Is that part of their equation, to just have it in like a Kingston Aylesford area where there's so many roads right straight down through the county that need some love as well?
Through you, Madam Chair, Councillor Davison. So the way the assessment works is that we were kind of looking, well, first of all, we're looking at all eligible roads within the municipality, so that regardless of what area, so whether it was in the village of New Minas or the village of Canning or in Kingston, etc. But based on the existing condition rating being the primary sorting mechanism, followed by what I identified as the FESC score, which is kind of working as an effective level of service. The sorting is kind of how would I best put it? The sorting didn't consider where the road is, so it wasn't preferentially selecting for the Western Kings area of the county. It just so happens that the worst roads tend to be in kind of central to Western Kings County. So it's kind of part of this review, just so I had a bit more information for everybody here today. We have So this year, as part of the program, so the 2023-2024 program, there are 4 roads being paved. So those aside, we have 30 roads that are eligible for the program that have a poor 1 or worse condition rating in the municipality. Of those 30 road sections, 13 of them are in Kingston, 4 are in Cambridge, and all other areas have less than 4 roads. So I think what we're actually seeing here is just that, for whatever reason, the roads in the Kingston area are in the poorest condition. And because of that, that's affecting what it looks to be, kind of, it's not favoritism towards the Western Kings, it's just that that's where the poorest roads are. And so if we're considering that as how we should best manage these going forward, addressing the ones that are the worst first, and then presumably over the years we'll be able to get to other roads in other areas of the county. But based on the assessment, and like I mentioned, we did a spring 2023 condition assessment of the roads internally, and then in alternating years, my understanding is that we have consulting engineers that do surface assessments, detailed surface assessments of all the roads in the municipality as well. So that's done every other year, and then every other year from that, EPW does our own internal investigation of that. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, I think so. Just kind of piggybacking off that. I'm just curious to know, I'm a part-time plow operator in the wintertime as well, so there's a lot of very poor roads. Do they consider the level of travel on any of these roads?
Through you, Madam Chair. Councillor Davison, yes, so part of that FESC scoring metric that we're using, it does consider the average daily traffic counts that impacts the score. So kind of the top 2 on our list for this year have the highest score, so kind of probably the most traffic, the most use, and then kind of going down from there. Keeping in mind these are all generally subdivision roads. That's kind of the thing of the program, so that they're not going to be major connecting arteries or anything like that. The other side of it is that as our CAO mentioned, the paved roads are not, like, paved roads that were paved roads as of 95 are ineligible. So a lot of this, we kind of take a whole bunch of the roads that are in our municipality just off the list, like it's just not part of the program. So for example, if we look at roads that are currently non-paved and that are eligible for the program, we only have 52.44 kilometers of roads of the 185. So, less than a quarter of the roads that we have that are J-class roads as of 95 are actually even eligible for upgrades at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our CIO had his light on. Did you still wish to weigh in, Mr. CIO?
Thank you. Actually, I was going to pull out, but I guess I'll chime in. I think the high notes or the summary would be that we're working on a provincial program that has constraints under that program. So it has to be chip seal or gravel to pavement, not pavement to pavement, and you can only submit 10 roads a year. So our program is intended to be an evidence-based program where just regardless of political boundary or district boundary, it looks at all of the roads that are eligible under those 2 criteria and then ranks them that way. I'm remiss, I can't remember the exact year, maybe 3 to 4 years ago, there was a one-time pavement-to-pavement program introduced by the province. And at that particular time, I think, and I can stand to be corrected, the municipality invested about $3.5 million in New Minas, because at that point, comparing pavement-to-pavement roads across the county that were on the 1995 list, most of the roads on a pavement hard surface were in poor condition were in New Minas. So there was a benefit at that time, but a different program, different constraints. It could only be pavement to pavement. That, I think, has only ever been introduced once since 1995. The balance of the years have always been a gravel to pavement program, not a pavement to pavement program.
Any follow-up, Councillor?
No, thank you for the clarification.
I think we could talk all day about this one, honestly. It's
Yeah.
it's quite the issue. Okay, thank you for your questions. Councillor Hurdle, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you, excited to see some roads on this that have massive input from the residents. Carolina, Andriga, Station Street, and Ronald. Lots of folks living there have contacted me over the last few years to inform me of the condition, and I absolutely have heard it. I am wondering, based on the 10 roads we submit per year and then kind of the historical path we've been following of those kilometers that we get paved, are we losing ground, or perhaps should I say asphalt, but are we losing ground or gaining in maintaining an acceptable level of road condition?
I think Mr. CAO wants to jump in here.
Thank you.
Oh, you turned yourself off.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm just jumping in because this was a few years before Mr. Hagan joined us. So we created a model, an in-house model with Chad West and others that was part of the presentation that I said that we made. Part of the problem is there's not, when we put $900,000 a year into the province for maintenance, it goes into provincial consolidated revenue. It does not get spent by the district manager on local roads 1995. So when you see roads start to open up with a crack, we don't have, the province doesn't have the money to go fix those roads. So our program was not just capital, but it was enhanced maintenance so that we could extend the lifespan of the road. So we could get out with more crack seal and chip seal. And our model showed mathematically that we could increase the lifespan of these roads by 8 to 10 years. So we're not keeping pace. It needs a different program that sees the maintenance invested back into those roads in addition to capital. I happen to live on a J-class road, and I can tell you it was quite a nice road, and now it has a distinct line running up the middle of the road where the 2 layers of asphalt were put down. It's probably now 1 inch wide, and each year the frost and the freeze-thaw action, and that pavement is starting to split apart. It's unfortunate we don't have a program that can go in there and put crack seal in there and stop the infiltration of water, destroying the road bed. So that was part of our proposal. We're not keeping up.
Thank you.
Good question, Councillor. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. CAO, for contributing to this conversation. Councillor Killam.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a question of whether growth centers and villages get priority in determining roads that need to be fixed that would come under this program.
Through you, Madam Chair. Councillor Killam. In this case, I think like we haven't preferentially selected for growth centers or villages per se, but I think because it is a subdivision road program generally, that it tends to preferentially select for those because there's more and higher use in the villages and in the growth centers. So from kind of the evidence-based approach that we've gone with here, the priority selection items were the condition rating based on what we're seeing this year, and then basically the FESC score acts as kind of a measure of the use of the road or the importance of the road in that sense. So we've tried to, where we can, address the poorest roads this year in our list, and ultimately all of the top 8 that were selected are all the worst condition roads at this point in time that are eligible for the program. And if all of them get fixed this year as part of our list, which would be great, then we'd be into kind of the medium poorness, as it were, the poor 2 for next year's program, unless we change our metrics for how we're assessing these. But just because we have so many that are in such poor condition, we've really gone with what's the worst, and let's see what we can get out of that. And my hope is that when we submit this to the province, assuming council approval, that they would like how we've looked at assessing our roads this year and what we're recommending.
Thank you. As far as boundaries within villages and growth centers, it changes. Each one has a different area of being involved in those particular growth centers and villages. I'm just trying to get a handle on, say, for instance, Cornwallis Square is made up of 4 basically communities. It's a large area, and maybe that's might be considered more room for attention than maybe others. Not saying that others don't need it. It's just wear and tear and number of people that are involved in traffic. I was just curious as to if that's considered at all.
Through you, Madam Chair, Councillor Killam. In this case, we have it just so happened that all of the roads that have made the list, or the priority list that we've selected this year, are all located within villages. It certainly could be the case, say, if all of these roads this year that we're recommending get paved, then in next year's, and assuming a linear degradation of the road surfaces, we would start to get into road sections potentially next year that are not part of a village or a growth center. That level, I can't really speak, I suppose, to how many of the 393 road sections occur outside of a growth center or a village, but my sense is it would be a very small measure of our total road sections that are eligible for the program.
Oh, yeah, I would also point the councillor to page 20 and 21 of our agenda package, which does sort of list the different criteria that are taken into account in terms of condition assessment as well, in terms of school bus routes, residential units, that type of thing.
Thank you.
So to follow up on that, Madam Chair, so it does, the intent of how we've sorted the data would be to give preference to the poorest condition roads and then the highest service level of those roads first. There, I think, is maybe one occurrence on our list, which I'm looking at here, is Elm Lane in Kingston, has actually a very quite low level of service, or that FESE score at a 10 out of 150. So it makes its way onto the list because it's the final road that has a poor 3 condition rating. So in that sense, you're seeing maybe a recommended road that is in really terrible shape but has a lower level of service. But it would make to kind of take it off the list just because it has a low level of service wouldn't really jive with the kind of assessment criteria we've used this year. So certainly we've tried to use kind of evidence-based metrics for this, as opposed to trying to select based on particular geographic boundaries or anything like that, to kind of take that element out of it.
Anything further, councillor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, look for a mover of the motion. Moved by Councillor Killam, seconded by Councillor Meisner. Any discussion on the motion? And as a reminder, it is to direct the Chief Administrative Officer to recommend to Municipal Council to direct the Chief Administrative Officer to submit the list of the recommended J-class roads for paving contained in the October 17th, 23 request for decision to the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works under cost sharing agreement number 2023-014 for fiscal year 24-25. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor Harding. And thank you, Dan, for your presentation today. Up next, we have Scott McKay coming to the podium to give us an update on the delay of tax billing. How did that last motion turn out? Looks like it was approved unanimously. No surprises there. Thank you, Chloe. And Scott, the floor is yours when you're ready.
Thanks. Is Tim Harding receiving that? I did share. Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. It has to be a little lower.
It's all good. That's why it moves up and down. It's
Thank
perfect.
you. Thank you very much this morning, Deputy Mayor Lutz and Council. Here to talk today about our tax bill delay. So as you are all aware by this point, A cybersecurity incident occurred back on July 10th and 11th of this year. As a result, many of the electronic systems of the municipality were taken offline to investigate, and one by one, systems and applications have been brought back online by our IT team. One of the final systems to be brought back is our financial system of the municipality. That is not being brought back by our IT team. There is a third-party organization that is involved with managing the service of that software, and there's been delays with the third-party provider in terms of restoring the system, and we're still waiting on a final ETA for that. So as a result, we're not meeting terms of Finance Policy 05013, which sets out our tax bill due date every year as September 30th. So in addition to property taxes, I will let you know that that software also contains our accounts payable, our utility billing, our payroll, and our GL systems as well. And each of these areas will have at least about, at this point, 3 months worth of data that has to be logged into the respective system modules. Staff have done a commendable job of keeping things rolling during this time through things such as our payroll and our accounts payable. We've done about 1,000 manual checks, and we're now moving on, I think, into our 7th or 8th payroll thus far that has been manually completed as well. So with respect to property taxes, once the property tax system is accessible by staff, we will need a couple of days to test both the data and the functionality of the system. And following that, there'll be more than 3 months worth of transactions, as I had mentioned, to be input chronologically, and that includes e-transfers, online payments, customer counter transactions, wire transfers, EFTs, and adjustments. And that would be between 4,000 and 5,000 transactions that'll have to be logged. Updates and maintenance to individual property tax accounts must also be completed to ensure that we're billing the correct rates and to the appropriate accounts across the valley. And assessment roll changes, addresses, and ownership changes also have to be input, and that's between 500 and 600 items. So if all goes smoothly, once we reestablish access to the system, we'll be looking at approximately 4 weeks before we'll be in a position to create the billing file to send to the printer for eventual delivery to our customers. Completing these tasks prior to issuing the bills ensures that all payments and adjustments are accounted for, and that ratepayers are receiving an accurate and up-to-date bill when it is finally issued. And we issue approximately 29,000 tax bills for information. Staff have endeavored to keep ratepayers informed through this process and aware of the situation. We've used social media, we've used our website and the monthly e-newsletter, and we've also issued 26,000 flyers across the county back in August to get the word out to them as well. And once we have established a date of tax bill issuance, we will again engage with the ratepayers to keep them informed once more. So the recommendation I'm bringing to you today is that Committee of the Whole receive the October 17th, 2023 update on the delay of tax billing 2023.
Thank you, Scott, for your presentation. Do we have any questions this morning? Councillor Granger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've gotten a lot of phone calls about it, people distressed about not getting their bill, which is crazy to me. So I'm assuming that from the date that they go out, there's an extension on when they have to be paid.
Through you, Madam Chair, absolutely. It's always been 30 days from when they land in mailboxes, and we establish with our printing company when they believe they'll be in mailboxes, and we establish the due date to be 30 days past that.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Not an uncommon question. We're getting it a lot as well. So.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hurdle.
Thank you. Through you, with the delay, it's looking like the bills may arrive much closer to Canada's biggest spending season of the year. With 30 days grace or time to pay, is there any consideration of adding some extended grace, knowing that this is going to be outside the norm in which they would receive their tax bills?
Through you, Madam Chair, we actually, the Director Barr and I had a conversation about this last Friday, and both acknowledged that that will be a discussion that will have to be held if we do feel that it is falling in that span of time, and it certainly is looking like that at this point in time. So definitely not off of our radar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good question, Councillor. Also something on my mind. Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Scott. Legally, when people sell properties, the tax must be paid up to date on the day of the sale. Are we able to do that?
Through you, Madam Chair. So we have about 80 requests for what are called tax certificates sitting in limbo right now, waiting for responses. With the exception of one instance, we've had a very understanding pool of lawyers and law offices in the area who understand that we can't provide an absolute up-to-date situation or picture of the situation. What we have been providing to law offices, though, is a copy of the May bill, which shows the balance owing, and then they've been working with their clients to determine payments that have been made to match that amount. So of almost 80 certificates requested, we've had about 79 that have been, that has sufficed.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Good question, Councillor. Thank you. Anything further from Council this morning? Okay, the motion to receive the presentation, can I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Granger, seconded by Councillor Meisner. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify now.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor. And I was remiss in not mentioning the exceptional job that our staff have done in managing this and continue to do in managing the mayhem of the cyber attack. So we really appreciate everything that you're doing, and it certainly can't be easy to muddle through the wide range of issues that I'm sure continue to pop up. So thank you particularly to our finance staff on this issue. Okay, item 8 is a councillor item submitted by Councillor Hurdle. There is some communication in your agenda package on page 57. Oh, Councillor Granger, would you like to take a break? Yeah, me too. Okay, let's come back at 10:35. Not quite 15 minutes, but a little more than 10. Okay, see you at 10:35. We'll call for a brief recess. Thank you, Councillor. Welcome back, everyone. Councillor Harding, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So I'll call this meeting back to order. As previously introduced, with Councillor Joel Hurdle has an agenda item that he's bringing forward to us today. And without further ado, I will turn the floor to you, Councillor. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I have my agenda item, and I'll just read the subject line into the record, then I'll go through as it's written, so those listening in can hear what is written in the agenda. So, housing crisis, I'm looking for a temporary suspension of bylaws disallowing year-round occupancy of RVs. And so I submitted this October 17th. Kings County is experiencing a debilitating shortage of available homes and rental units. This problem is not unique to Kings County alone, with this problem impacting all of Nova Scotia and many parts of Canada. We are experiencing a housing crisis. As a municipality, we must act on the authority granted to us by the province through the Municipal Government Act to aid in formally permitting the relief, and some have found in temporary housing. I'm sure we know residents, friends, neighbors who have found the need to make RVs and campers their temporary or permanent temporary homes. We are also aware that because the reporting-based nature of our bylaw enforcement, those who have found this temporary relief are at the mercy of their neighbors who may file an enforcement report at any moment. Lacking an authorized place to live and feeling the need to skirt the law to otherwise live a peaceful existence creates stress and anxiety for those experiencing this crisis. The stress is resulting in many knock-on effects that will negatively impact the systems and services provided by our municipality and the province. Having no officially sanctioned residence because of our bylaws preventing year-round occupation of RVs creates issues in receiving necessary services like mail, power, voting registration, insurance, etc. This is hopefully a relief to the problem that will have no substantial impact on the municipality because of existing perhaps blind eyes that may already be applied to the enforcement concern. And I have my recommended motions, but I do have staff with an alternative motion which I would be interested in your input. So my motions are that first motion, that municipality of the County of Kings declare a housing crisis until such time that council has observed a distinct change in the available housing supply for a specific focus on available housing as currently defined in the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, and that municipal council, and then my second motion will be municipal council shall temporarily suspend all bylaws stipulating and enforcing of current bylaws that prevent the year-round occupancy of recreational vehicles, commonly but not exclusively referred to as campers or RVs, until council removes the declaration of a housing crisis. And I have an expected outcome. These motions aim to bring those who need temporary relief into lawful compliance while recognizing the housing crisis we are currently experiencing in Kings County that necessitates this temporary suspension. I anticipate no financial cost to the municipality, with only an expected alleviation of bylaw enforcement obligations. All other enforcement obligations such as fire code and dangerous unsightly property premises of property taxes would remain in effect. I kindly request that those here in the committee of the whole recommend this motion with support to be discussed and debated as an agenda item in the next council meeting. And perhaps at this time, staff may present their alternative recommended motion.
I have it here if you want, if you'd like it read.
Sure.
Sure. So in light of some back and forth, I believe I was not part of, but I think the mayor was part of, sort of a summary motion that might more easily tackle the issue at hand, is that committee of the whole recommend municipal council direct the CAO to provide a briefing at the next regular meeting of council to address issues related to the use of RVs in light of the housing crisis. Oh, it's on the screen. Okay. So the floor is still yours, Councillor, should you wish to make any of the motions at hand and then seek a seconder.
This is a really good motion because it would, the staff motion is, would provide background to the issues we're facing, although there is no obligation to act or request to have the additional motions. So I would like to recommend the staff presented motion, and then of course preceding that, my motions as presented in the report as well. So I will move the motion that is on the screen currently.
Okay, we have a motion moved. Do we have a seconder for the motion at hand? Councillor Allen, thank you very much. Any discussion on this motion? In my mind, this motion is preferable because it would allow staff the chance to bring forward the bylaws and policies that currently touch on housing and the use of RVs and how it exists currently in our land use bylaw, municipal planning strategy, and gives us the information to fully make a decision or to provide action on this particular issue. So in my mind, this is preferable and positive. Councillor Granger, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate Councillor Hurdle bringing this to light in the midst of a housing crisis. I would be anxious to see what the CAO and staff could bring in a briefing over and above what we already know, what we kind of read, if there's a little bit more for us to think about. But thank you for bringing this to light, Councillor Hurdle.
Thank you, Councillor. Before I get to Councillor Meisner, Councillor Harding, do you have any input? I can hear your...
Yeah. Could we ask or put in that motion that the recommendation that that staff would bring the pros and cons on both sides of that back to council as well, or committee of the whole?
Sure. I don't know that it needs to be included in the motion as such, but staff are in the room and I'm sure they can take that under advisement. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Meisner, go ahead.
Thank you. I just, I appreciate the sentiments on this issue. I don't think it's lost on any of us in this room that we are in the middle of a very unique and precarious situation, and many of our residents do find themselves without. I hesitate to support this just for the fact that with rooflessness, houselessness, insecure housing, and things like that, this is a Band-Aid on a much larger issue. I guess I would seek to find how we define a housing crisis and what that end looks like for our county before we declare such a thing, and kind of look further into the fact that although this is a great idea in theory, it very much is a Band-Aid on a much larger solution, and it does, and I hope that staff will highlight, it was noted there that there will be no changes to dangerous unsightly premises and fire code. Some of these older RVs and campers definitely create many dangerous and unsightly opportunities which don't further assist residents. We could be putting people in harm's way by not paying attention to that. And in terms of the fire code, I really look forward to what staff has to say, because this is a major fire hazard to have people housed during the winter in our climate in an RV setting. So excited to see what staff has to bring forward. I really don't think this is the solution that we need to be seeking for the residents in our county, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Allen, item for debate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm 100% for this, and I'll be voting in favor. The only concern I have is enforcing the fire code. I've noticed a couple of these have already been set up, and they've just put a stovepipe out through the side, and you can tell they're burning wood because the smoke coming out. So I just was wondering who would be enforcing the fire code with these, and that's my only concern, but I will be voting in favor today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, and I think staff can also include that in the briefing that they bring forward, but excellent point. Councillor Davison, then Councillor Killam.
Sorry, through you, Deputy Mayor. Just a question for Councillor Hurdle. I think this is a great idea. We have a serious issue right now, and there's actually, I have somebody staying in one of my residence at the moment. So where are the locations going to be? You know, you can set these up anywhere. Are we talking Walmart parking lot? Are we talking a campground? So that'd be my first question. I do know that there is one campground in the valley that does winter housing. I'm not sure what their policies are, and I'm not even sure who does the fire codes. But I have been to many fires with RVs. They certainly go up very quickly. So we certainly have to check and advise wherever these are going to be to the fire service, because there is definitely a hazard. But I'm sorry, but my question is, where are these locations going to be, and how are they going to be insured?
Councillor Hurdle, did you want to respond to that question, or just consider it something that would be included in the staff briefing that would come forward?
Exactly. I hope that that's captured within the staff report.
Again, good. There's lots of important issues regarding this coming to light for staff to include, so thank you. Councillor Killam, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I too think that this is maybe an answer to some of the issues. However, for me, I think that we need to have a wholesome discussion again on the housing crisis and bring in people that are closely connected to it to inform us as to what's actually going on out there. If I heard correctly that the province was sort of bowing out of a housing strategy, I don't know if that was, I heard it correctly or not, provincially, and that kind of made me wonder what's going on in the bigger picture. But I'd like to see a wholesome discussion and bringing in people that are involved, have been involved, and could be involved with maybe some solutions that we could act on, and this could be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hurdle.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I definitely agree with my District 2 colleague that this is not the solution. This is certainly not a long-term solution. This is ideally a temporary solution, and something that I would prefer not to even have to make as a suggestion. But those folks who've already found this as a solution are in a bit of a pinch, and we are not seeing the larger scale issues addressed that would allow those people who are currently living in RVs to escape this necessity. So absolutely acknowledging that this is not an even great solution, but this is something that people have found. And yes, and sometimes you do need just a Band-Aid to hold you through. And then again, to address my District 3 colleague.
Make sure you're just addressing through the chair.
Sure, sorry. Yes, I apologize. Through the chair, I absolutely agree that we need a larger scale discussion on housing. I've had the opportunity brought to me to host a forum on housing, so I'll be hosting this, and in attendance will be 3 visiting MPs on October 28th from 9:30 until 11:30. The location is still yet to be decided, although it will be somewhere within the 3-kilometer range of where we're sitting today. So if anyone's interested in being part of that discussion, and those who have a interest in the housing crisis and affordable housing, you're invited to attend. Just contact me. I'll give you the details when I further have the location hammered out.
Thank you, Councillor. Just a reminder to all council to keep your comments on the motion at hand, whether or not we're in favor of providing direction to staff on a briefing at the next regular meeting of council to address issues related to the use of RVs in light of the housing crisis. Okay, the lights are gone. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. It's been moved by Councillor Hurdle and seconded by Councillor Allen. Thank you. All in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion. Thank you. Oh, and Chloe's already hit the button, so get your votes in there quick.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Councillor, in light of the discussion that was just held, do you wish to make any further motions that were listed in your package, or do we wish to move on?
Thank you. And since motions are always on the floor in council, I'll reserve these two motions perhaps to be amended slightly or entirely for the next council meeting after the presentation from staff.
Thank you. I think your intent has been well captured through the discussion and through your written report too. So thank you for bringing this forward, and thank you, Council, for your discussion on this issue. Okay. Moving to item 9, board and committee reports. We have a report from Councillor Meisner on Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee. Councillor, do you have anything further to add to your report?
No, I don't. Thank you.
No, thank you. Any further reports that may come verbally for committees of council or any other external boards and committees? Councillor Granger, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This isn't a report per se, but this is to remind people that there is a public information meeting tomorrow regarding options for incentive zoning and inclusionary zoning and density zone bonusing. So that's in this council chamber at 6 p.m. I'll be hosting for Councillor Armstrong that's away.
Thank you for that reminder. Tomorrow, which was October 18th, and it's a Wednesday. Much appreciated for that reminder. Thank you so much. Anything further from council? Any other business to come from council today? Keeping in mind we do have special council following this meeting. We have, any comments from the public? No? Okay. Thank you. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn as we move into special council. Moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Hurdle. Discussion on the motion to adjourn. Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor Harding.
Sounds more celebratory.
Yeah. Is that Y-E-A or Y-A-Y? The motion to adjourn carries unanimously. I'll allow staff a couple moments to switch the systems, and when I get the thumbs up, we'll go ahead with special council. Oh, there we go. Welcome to the Municipality of the County of Kings Special Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. We've just concluded our regularly scheduled Committee of the Whole. I'm Deputy Mayor Emily Lutz in for Mayor Matart, who's out on medical leave. We also have regrets from Councillor Armstrong, who is away visiting family. At this time, I'd ask for roll call. So please signify your presence, Council. And we do have one councillor online, Councillor Harding, zooming in from an asset management conference. So we do know he's here.
I'm here. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Oh, wastewater conference. Apologies, wastewater.
Yeah.
Thank you. I look for a motion to excuse the absence of Mayor Matart and Councillor Armstrong. Moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Meisner. All in favor or otherwise, please signify now.
Yay.
Thank you very much. The motion carries unanimously. Next is our approval of the agenda this morning. It's been circulated in the regular fashion. Any comments on the agenda? Moved by Councillor Meisner, seconded by Councillor Granger. Thank you so much. Discussion on the agenda, additions, deletions, etc. Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor. For those listening online or who may be new to council chambers this morning, the 10-second delay is between when the vote is called and when councillors register their votes electronically or speak them from above in Councillor Harding's case. That motion to approve the agenda carries unanimously, so we have an approved agenda in front of us. Any conflict of interest issues any councillor wishes to disclose this morning? Seeing no lights, we'll move to item 4, administration. World Polio Day, flag raising and proclamation. We have Municipal Clerk Yanni Postma here to give us the lowdown on this agenda item. Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Good morning, Council. We received a request from the Rotary Club New Minas to proclaim World Polio Day in the County of Kings. That will be on October the 24th, 2023, and there will also be a flag raising at noon here at the county on that day. Hopefully we'll have some decent weather. Just a motion to proclaim October 24th, 2023 as World Polio Day in the municipality of the County of Kings.
Thanks, Yanni. So at this point, we are council. We are acting as municipal council, so no need to recommend to ourselves at this point. We are moving the motion that municipal council proclaim October 24th, 2023 World Polio Day in the municipality of the County of Kings. Moved by Councillor Meisner, seconded by Councillor Davison. Any discussion on the motion to proclaim? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify now.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving to item 5, recommendations from Committee of the Whole, which was held this morning. So this morning we chatted a bit about J-class roads. I encourage anyone who may be tuning in just for this meeting to hear the fulsome discussion at the recording, which will be dated the same date under Committee of the Whole. So as it's been well discussed, you may benefit from hearing that conversation. So the motion in front of us is that Municipal Council direct the Chief Administrative Officer to submit the list of the recommended J-class roads for paving contained in the October 17th, 2023 request for decision to the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works under cost sharing agreement number 2023-014 for fiscal year 2024-2025. Moved by Councillor Hurdle, seconded by Councillor Killam. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And item B, housing crisis. Our motion that we just recently discussed, that Municipal Council direct the CIO to provide a briefing at the next regular meeting of Council to address issues related to the use of RVs in light of the housing crisis. Do I have a mover of the motion? Councillor Hurdle. Seconded by Councillor Davison. Any further discussion on this motion? Again, if you wish to hear a more fulsome discussion, please refer to the Committee of the Whole recording. Seeing no discussion at this time, all in favor or otherwise, please signify now.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor Harding. Thank you very much. The motion carries unanimously. Item 6, recommendation from Nominating Committee, October 6, 2023. I have listed Councillor Armstrong, the chair of the Nominating Committee. I'm not sure who the vice chair of the Nominating Committee is, but I'm happy to do it if they're not here. Okay, I'll do it. The motion reads that Municipal Council appoint Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Davison to the Audit and Finance Committee for a term ending November 30th, 2023. As a bit of background, we reevaluate our committee appointments annually, so this is a temporary measure by which Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Davison will fill these vacancies along with the mayor and deputy mayor, which are required through the terms of reference. So that will be the 4-person Audit and Finance Committee, Council's representation on the Audit and Finance Committee, after which it will be reevaluated along with our other committee appointments. Councillor Granger.
Madam Chair, I was on the audit committee, so am I not on the audit committee anymore?
That's correct. Don't look so happy about it. Some of us still are. No, I'm just kidding. It's one of my favorites. Budget and Finance was. Okay, any further discussions? Well, you may, and Councillor Granger, I shouldn't speak so soon because after November 30th, you may be on it again. So just enjoy your brief break. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll move, I guess that's been read. Can I have a move? Did I have a mover and seconder yet? Moved by Councillor Granger, seconded by Councillor Meisner. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor Hardy. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Is there any other business to come before special council this morning? Are there any comments from the public? I don't wish to rush you all out the door, but is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councillor Killam, seconded by Councillor Meisner. Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify in the usual fashion.
Yay.
Thank you, Councillor, and thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your wastewater conference.
Thank you very much, and it's a good system, and I thank everybody for the IT people that look after this, and it makes it pretty good to use, so thank you very much.
It's no small task, and it worked pretty seamlessly today, so big shout out to our staff for making that happen. Thank you. And we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your rainy Tuesday.